Hmm. Well, I hate when this happens. Hello, Sarah, you the only one in here? Are there others? Okay. All right. Let's continue on. Ay, 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 ay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I was trying to share this, but it doesn't look like it want to work the way I want it to work. Uh, there we go. Okay. Gee, so hard trying to do all of these things. Everybody's doing good. Thank y'all for being patient with me. And I'm trying now to let's go back out. I can't. There we go. All right, put that right there for me. All right. Mhm. Won't let me go back. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hope all is well with each and every one of you. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Let me just have a word of prayer. Father, we just thank you, God, for your presence. We give you glory and praise for all things. You're such an amazing God who is always doing wonderful things for us. We thank you for your protection. We thank you for provision today. And we thank you, Father, for your presence. We thank you that you walk with us today as we moved and had our being. God, thank you that you kept us, Father, from all hurt, harm, and danger, and in a sound mind. So tonight, God, as we just talk a little bit about marriage and again, go back and deal with the area that we were dealing with last week. I pray, God, that again, enlightenment will, Father, be upon the hearts and minds of the people who are viewing tonight and hearing. It is so in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, all right. Good evening to everybody. I hope all of you are doing wonderful tonight. Again, I have started this study and I'm trying to work all of these pieces, and eventually I am going to get it. It is going to be so easy. And it's basically, you got a lot of little connections that got to be made in order for even me to try and do a piece of a PowerPoint. So I got to get that all down packed. All right. So y'all forgive me for not having my stuff together. I generally try to make sure I have it together because I know it can be frustrating. One trying to get it together and present it to the people in a way that is in a spirit of excellence. And then secondly, it can be probably disturbing to those of you who are trying to get whatever it is I'm trying to say, but I ain't got my stuff together. So y'all bear with me, please. Just bear with me. All right, for those of you who are on, I cannot at this point see those of you who are on YouTube. So let me, I was going to try and go there real quick to see if I can, from another device, catch those of you who are viewing by YouTube. And let me see if that's possible right quick. And then I can see what you're commenting, your comments, if you would have any. See what you're commenting. Let me go there, channel, studio. All right, and we're on live. Okay, we're on live. We're on live. And I can see what you're commenting, your comments. And let me cut my stuff off. And then there we are. We got it. Victoria Chantel, hello. Nicole Maxwell, hello. To all of you who are on. I got probably 4 people on YouTube, I believe. So that's a good number. Now I don't know how many I got right now on Zoom, but I see Sarah, Tierra, and Lady Di. Okay, 5 now on On live chat. Okay, on YouTube. Okay, here we go. So last week we opened our discussion talking about, well, I changed, if you notice now, I've changed the, if you can see the screen. Can y'all see? Somebody let me up. Tierra, can you see the PowerPoint screen? Huh?
Yeah, we see it.
You see it? Okay, cool, cool. You don't see it on YouTube. Well, I don't know how to put it on YouTube. All right. So we'll figure that out next time, because I don't know how to get YouTube there.
Okay.
All right. We just not, what I need to do.
I mean, it should have automatically did it, but
It didn't do it. Okay, okay, no worries. All right. For those of you who are on YouTube, y'all forgive me. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Okay, so y'all won't see the PowerPoint presentation that those who are on Zoom are able to see. I just wish everybody could kind of go to Zoom. Then I won't have to worry about YouTube and trying to connect everything. Okay, Grandma say hello. Tell Grandma I say hello back. All right. All right, so here we go. Last week we were talking about, and I promise you I'm trying to keep us within the time that we scheduled this for, to 8 o'clock. We talked about, in our discussion, how well are we, well, the question was asked rather, how well are you communicating in your marriage, or for those of you who might be single, in your dating relationships, how well are, let's see, I can't even now, I can't, there we go. Because it's not even doing it. I have to do it by my finger over here now. Okie dokie. And so how well are you communicating in your marriage or dating relationships? How well are you communicating? So we're talking about communication, because communication is, to me now, and maybe somebody else who's far advanced in marriage relationships, maybe they would say it's something else. But to me, I believe communication is the most important thing. All right. I believe every marriage, and I don't have this in the outline, but for those of you who might be taking notes or whatever, and I teach this in marriage counseling, for every marriage, there are at least four, what I would consider 4 pillars. And one of those pillars is also the foundation. All right. So there's the pillar of God. Every relationship must have God. It's just not going to work if you don't have God. The second pillar that I would believe give you, and this is not in any particular order, is trust. You got to have trust. God, trust. All right. I would keep God first, but the other pillars, I'm just calling them out as they come. So God, trust, that's 2 pillars. The third pillar would be the pillar of love. You got to have love. All right. So God, trust, love. And then the 4th pillar that holds a marriage up would be communication. All right. And so you gotta have communication. I think communication is very key. It's very important, and I think that without communication, then your love is going to struggle. All right, it'll disappear. It'll leave. Without communication, your trust is going to be all messed up. So communication is, to me, one of the most important factors in a relationship, in a dating relationship, or in a marriage. And so when communication is messed up, you're not gonna really go too far. It's gonna be tough to navigate any storms. It's gonna be tough to navigate any change of wind or direction. It's gonna be tough if you don't have good communication. Gotta have good communication for marriage. So we opened last week talking about how well are you communicating in your marriage or dating relationship. We also asked even the question, are you talking at one another, or are you talking with one another? Those are key. Those are very important when you're in a relationship and you're communicating. If communication is going to be strong, you gotta understand whether you're talking at one another or whether you're talking with one another. And last week, I also, here we go again. This is just not right. Okay. Last week, we also were talking about two things, and I think I need to go back, but I can't go back. Can I? Yes, I can. And I'm always missing something. I'm gonna stop doing PowerPoints, y'all, until I get it right. It's missing something. It's not catching a particular. Okay, here we go. Now, it may have been me. It may have been me. That's what I get for rushing in the house trying to get this together. All right, y'all, forgive me. So, because the way you communicate with one another, if you see down the third bullet point, it determines the success of your relationship. And that's what you got to be very careful of as to how you are communicating with one another. It's amazing that this week and last week I'm telling you about maybe 4 couples I've been talking to. And as I am talking with them about certain situations, again, the thing that troubles their marriage is communication. And the piece of that breaks, that messes that communication up, is how they are really speaking to one another. And so last week we told you about when you're talking at someone, and what happens when you talk at someone. It implies that the speaker isn't interested in an exchange of ideas or a conversation with the other person. The speaker isn't acknowledging the other person as an individual or an entity. Actually, the speaker, when you're talking at somebody, you don't care what they have. Like I told you last week, you don't care what they have to say. You just want to say what you got to say. You want to say what you got to say. And I guarantee you, many of us, even as I even think about family relationships, how we really communicate, conversate with each other. Sometimes we just talk at each other. We don't really talk with, we talk at. We really want you to hear what I got to say, and it really doesn't matter. Sometimes in when you're communicating, it doesn't matter what you think. It's what I think. It's what I feel. All right. So when you're talking at someone, you're not really interested in what they have to say. You just want to get your point across. That's talking at someone. But we also dealt with in breaking down conversation. We dealt with when you are talking with someone, it simply implies that a conversation is being shared. That conversation, when you're talking with someone, that conversation is being shared. That means that there's an exchange of ideas. There's an exchange of thoughts. There's an exchange. Matter of fact, you complete a paragraph or a sentence, and then somebody else is given the opportunity. That person in which you're talking to is given an opportunity to dialogue back with you. There's an exchange. So, and let me go back again. When you're talking at someone, there's not really an exchange of words or ideas or thoughts. It's just what I feel, what I believe, what I want to say. When you're talking with somebody, there's going to be an exchange. It is a real live conversation. It's a back and forth. It's not a terrible back and forth, but it is a pleasant back and forth of words, of thoughts, of ideas, of needs, of desires. We're going back and forth. We're talking with each other, conversating. And so those are the breakdowns of conversation. So the problem found in most marital conversations or dating conversations, people who are dating go through this same situation many times. It's generally most people are talking at one another instead of talking with one another. That's a problem. That's a problem when we find ourselves in relationship. All we're doing is talking at one another and not talking with one another. You know, if you're talking at, let me say this again, another thought came to mind. If you're talking at, you're not giving the other person an opportunity to say a word. All right. They're not saying a word. But when you're talking with, we're able to converse. We're able to dialogue back and forth. But in marriages and in relationships, most of the time, what's found as it relates to conversations is simply this: we're talking at one another. We're talking at one another. All right, let's move on. To talk at your mate, here's a sign. To talk at your mate is a sign of selfishness. Most of the time, again, people who are talking at someone, they're doing it from a selfish standpoint. They're doing it from a selfish position. It's about me, my, and I. It's about what I want, what I need, what I desire, and what I need for you to do. It's a selfish standpoint. All right. And so when you're talking with your mate, it is a sign of selflessness. Selflessness, meaning it's not about me, especially when we have a problem, especially when there are situations that tackle our marriage, and we don't need to talk at each other. We need to talk with one another. Selflessness comes with talking with one another. Okay, I want you to remember this: marriage is a selfless union. It is not a selfish union. It is a selfless union. That's what marriage is. All right. When you become married, it's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. It's about the person in whom you have made a covenant with. All right. It's about the person that you have decided. What's the thing? Till death do us part. That's what it's about. Marriage is not about you anymore. It's about the other person. And I know somebody will say, well, what about us? Yeah, but it's about the other person. When you marry, you're marrying not just for us, you're marrying to do a couple of things. To bond with the person that you married and to make them a better person, all right, through the marriage. All right, that's what you do. It's me giving of myself to build you up. All right, that it's me giving of myself to build you up. And all of that has to do with communication. If we don't talk, we can't build. I don't know where to work. I don't know where to help you at if we don't talk. I don't know what gets on your nerves if we don't communicate. If I can't be truthful in the communication, then I'm definitely not about selflessness. I'm about selfishness. Okay, so I can't build the marriage if I'm not willing to listen and to hear and to see what it is I can do to make your life a much better life. All right, so marriage is a selfless union. All right, it is not a selfish union. All right, so marriage becomes about him or her to whom you have become one with. That's what it is. That's why the Bible says that when God brought Adam and Eve together, they were no more. He says they were no more twain, two, meaning two, they became one flesh. They became one flesh. And that's how you become selfless, because I'm willing to sacrifice me for you. I'm willing to give up me for you. I'm willing to give up me for you. And we're not just talking about from the aspect of it being a woman, the man giving up himself for the woman. No, it's the woman as well giving up herself for the man. we become one flesh. Selfish. Your heart. Can I? And I can ask the question, and you don't. You can just answer it in your head, I guess. But think about your body. All right, your left hand is no better than your right. They work together. They become one. Your body, even though there are different functions, they all work together to make you one. To make you one entire human being. Your kidneys, your lungs, all right, your pancreas, all of them, they are separate entities, but they are a part of one body. Okay, so you may be a separate entity from your spouse or from your boyfriend, and probably this is more so for the married side than it is for, like I said, for the single side, because a man and a woman who are just dating, you still have rights to your of your own. You don't have to. You're not really considered totally one. You're trying to get to that point. But if you're married, you have made a covenant with God to be one, not two separate individuals. You have told God, we're coming together, and God then brings you together, joins you together as one flesh and not two. All right. So understand that in the sense that marriage, when you become married, all right, and you begin in that marriage to communicate with one another, it's not you communicating at that person. All right. It's you communicating with that person. You are talking, discussing, sharing, and to understand that marriage is selfless and not selfish. Okay. So we were reading, and I always like to read this, and I tell couples all the time, I'm going right back. For those of you who just came in, I'm going right back to this scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 and verse 8. This is a favorite passage of mine. If you don't know it, you will know it, all right, by now when it comes to marriage, because this is how I believe we set up communicating to each other. One of the ways is that I love you just as much as I love myself. And I give them myself, I sacrifice, I become selfless towards the person that I'm married to. Thereby, I'm showing love. So if I'm selfless, then that means that it ain't about me again. It's about whoever I'm married to. All right. And so some of the problem again with conversations or communicating is that we feel at times, there are those who feel at times that it's about them. Okay. It's about them. It's about what I want. It's about what I need. And I'm going to get it. This is I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you feel. All right. But the Bible declares this, chapter 13, 1 Corinthians, verse 4 through 8. It says, love suffers long and is kind. It said, love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not, he says, is not provoked, thinks no evil. People of God, it is not provoked. Okay, so there are conversations that if you love one another, you're not going to provoke each other. You're not going to provoke each other to anger. You're not going to provoke each other to do stuff. We call it knowing the right buttons to push. We're not going to do that. We're not going to push buttons so that we can get a response. We're not going to push buttons so that we can cause you to do or say something that you might regret. Love don't do that. Love doesn't provoke, thinks no evil. I'm not going to think bad about you. Certainly you ought not think bad about a person that you are joined together as one. If that's your spouse, my God, and you think bad about them, what's wrong? Come on. Love covers a multitude of faults. Okay. And certainly if you are married, that's what love does. Love covers a multitude of faults. Okay. Thinks no evil. 6 says, does not rejoice in iniquity. I don't rejoice, in my wife failing. No, I don't rejoice in that. but rejoices in truth. I rejoice when she has victory. You know, I rejoice when she's doing good. I'm rejoicing. If she's not, I'm not rejoicing. I'm not happy to see her down. You know, I know of couples who they say they're married, but my God, you wouldn't know it, because it seems like if one gets a raise and the other one don't, it's bad. It's like, oh, you know, we we act like people who are not connected, you know. So I rejoice if my wife is getting a raise. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to rejoice because y'all are what? One. All right. Bears all things, believes, verse 7, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Let me say this. Verse 7 is real, is packed with a lot. But I like what it says, endures all things. Brothers and sisters, husbands and wives, I need for us to understand that no marriage is perfect. Every marriage will go through something. It's going to go through something. All right. And we've got to learn how to endure those things. The tripped out part is that some of us, you know, we can't stay married no time. You know, we just get married and then we ready to get a divorce because something went wrong. Something didn't happen the way we felt it should happen. You know, something was said. We don't work through marriage these days. It's like we just get married for the either one, the sake of saying I got married, or the convenience of what marriage might be able to bring. Certainly, if somebody has if somebody has a little change, you know, got a good job or whatever, some people end up marrying for that sake. You know, just I'll have a peace of mind. I'll have money. I'll have this or that. But I need for you to understand that love endures all things. And because love will help you endure all things, you ought to be able to talk through everything. That's where I want to get us to. Because love helps us endure all things, you ought to be willing to talk through everything. Say it again. Because love helps us. It helps us to endure all things. And because it helps us to endure all things, we ought to be willing, we ought to be willing to talk through everything. If you can't talk through something, then it's a sign that one, you ain't got a relationship with God. Secondly, it might be a sign that you don't have a relationship with God. Secondly, it might be a sign that you don't really have love. Okay, you've got to have love. Love is gonna cover the multitude of faults. Love is going to cause you to pump your brakes and say, listen, let me listen to you. I want to hear what you have to say. Love, that's what love's going to do for you. And so what we've got to understand is that with love, we can endure all things, all right? And with love, we can communicate through anything, all right? I hope that makes sense to somebody tonight, those of you who are listening. So it is our love for one another that causes us to be selfless in actions and in discussions. It's our love for one another as spouses, all right? It's our love for one another that causes us to be selfless, not selfish, but selfish in our actions and our discussions. You know, because of my love for my mate, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that this marriage works, that this marriage grows, that the bond of our marriage is strengthened. That's because I love my mate. And because I love my mate, I'm going to do everything in my power as well. No matter if we come from totally different kinds of backgrounds, upbringings, you know, experiences. There are things that many of you have gone through. There are things that you have gone through in your life, things that were traumatic in your life. And it may cause some problems in the marriage, but we got to learn how to talk about those things. And we've got to be selfless as a listener as well as selfless as a communicator. We got to be willing to hear what is being said, and we've got to be willing to speak what needs to be spoken. So love for one another is what causes us to be selfless in our actions and in our discussions. I'm moving on. All right, let's go to the next. Also, we talked about this. We talked about when we talk at one another, it opens the door for some major issues. Infidelity, we talked about distrust, and we talked about abuse. All right. And hopefully nobody is going through any of those things right now. If you are, then my thing would be to you, certainly if you're in an area where there is abuse, I want you to understand this. Walk away. Walk away. Nobody is to be beat. That's not love. If we can't talk and we got to get to a point of throwing blows at each other, then we need to walk away. We need to walk away. We'll talk a little bit about, that in a minute. We need to walk away. You need to walk away. Distrust, you got to earn that back again. And that comes through your actions of love, all right, as well as your discussions of love, how you talk to me, what you say to me, all right? It has the ability to break or make my trust in you, all right? If you said you're going to be somewhere, be there, all right? Whatever you communicated to me as far as where you're going to be there, all right? Don't be somewhere else, all right? Be where you say it. I want to be able to trust you, okay? And that comes through communication as well as action, all right? Goes back to what I said a little bit ago. It goes back to it, all right? If I love you, then I'm going to make sure you never lose trust in me. And if I love you, I am going to make sure that I trust you, that I show you that I trust you, all right? And if I love you, I'm not going to cheat on you, infidelity. If I love you, all right? If I love you, I'm not going to cheat on you. If I love you and there is something going wrong, to those of you who are married, there's something going wrong in the bedroom, then you need to address that issue. Okay? Don't just sweep it under a rug and walk away from it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. See, I mean, come on. Y'all understand what I'm saying. If it's a problem in the bedroom, talk about it. Don't just act like it ain't a problem. Talk about it. Now, all y'all grown and we talking to no children in here. If it ain't long enough, talk about it. Okay? If it ain't good enough, talk about it. Yeah. I know y'all saying this man done lost his mind. No, talk about it. Talk about it. If it's too many times during the week, talk about it. Talk about it. If it's weight, talk about it. And talk about it in a way that will not be harmful to the other. It's not degrading. Am I making sense? Somebody wave a hand, do something. That's what I love about church, At least I can see how you're looking real, Oh, okay, Sarah done threw her hand up. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. That's an amen to me. Sometimes when you get on some of these subjects, who is that, Kim? Oh, okay. You got to talk about it. I'm serious, y'all. Husbands, talk about it. Wives, talk about it. Because here's the point. When we don't talk about it to each other, and when we don't, thank you, Holy Ghost, we need to have the freedom to talk about it as well. Don't make me feel like I can't share stuff with you. Because when you make me feel I can't share something with you, then I'll end up sharing it with somebody else. So you got to talk about it. And I'm serious. If it ain't long enough, talk about it. I need at least 30 more seconds. Talk about it. Tell them. Give me 30 more seconds. Y'all know when I'm dealing with stuff that's hard, I got to make some laughter somewhere. Give me 30 more seconds. I know, baby. Oh, that was great. But give me 30 more seconds. Can you give me, yeah. Oh, let's figure out how we can get 30 more seconds out of this. Because I need 30 more seconds. Because if you don't talk about it, and I'm gonna keep repeating this, if you don't talk about it, somebody else is gonna talk about it. And somebody else goes, and when you get to talking, see, I'm telling you, when you get to talking about it, then they'll start. Some folk don't want nothing but they selfish. So all they want to do is be satisfied. Okay. So if they find out you ain't being satisfied, they'll use you to get their satisfaction. So at best, we need to be able to talk to our spouse about it. Okay. If it ain't long enough, if it's not passionate enough, you know, we're talking about sex because sex has to deal with infidelities. We got to talk about it. Talk about it. Okay. And sometimes there might be a conversation that you don't want to have, but you got to have it. And you got to learn how to talk about it. Okay. Don't just, and listen, don't go talking about what somebody else did for you. Okay. That's going to be the killer right there. You know, where, you know, when I used to date this girl and she was, no, wrong conversation, wrong way to come at that, rather. Don't talk about it, what somebody else did. Just talk about what you need, what you need that will fulfill you sexually, what you need, so that it won't push you out to commit infidelities. Say what you need, all right? Say what you need. Talk about it. Conversate. Nothing between a husband and wife ought to be off limits. What trips me out is sometimes we're sharing stuff with people that we shouldn't be sharing it with. And they will take advantage of that. So it ought to be a freedom to talk about what you need. I mean, talk about it. All right. So everybody got an understanding about that. So less conversation brings about, if you're talking at each other and not with each other, dialoguing, having conversation, it opens the door for infidelities, distrust, and even abuse. Okay. So how we communicate with each other, conversate, discuss, whatever you want to call it, is vitally important. Okay. I think that's the end of that particular frame. I'm gonna come out of that. We're gonna log out, and I'm gonna ask some questions. So remember now, let me share and stop. I'm gonna close. Okay, cool. All right. So what's up, Jariel? I just saw your face. Just saw your face. Okay. So when you come out of all of that, I came out of that, then I see more of y'all. Let me see who else. Oh my God, I got a lot of people in here. Diva D, Joyce is up in here. Kamisha. All right, there we go. I like to see my people, I tell you. Here's another thing I want to deal with. Because I think when we disagree with each other, sometimes we can take it to the extreme. Would y'all say that? Sometimes we just go through the extreme. We just go overboard when we disagree with each other. And so the thing that I want to help some of us, when you find yourself in a place where you are in disagreement, and I can go back and talk about, use my wife and myself. We quite often in our early stages of being married, we quite often didn't agree on a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, we didn't agree on a lot of things. We didn't agree on buying furniture. We didn't agree on sometimes we didn't agree on how we discipline. We didn't agree on who should pay this bill or who should pay that bill. We went through the gamut of disagreements. You know, But over the years, we've had to learn how to deal with those disagreements instead of, I ain't gonna tell you we don't have none today. I would be lying. But I think that we become wiser. We become wiser in how we deal with those disagreements through conversation. You know, we become wiser. We're still learning. We were just talking the other day about, you know, sometimes her voice could be on 10, and I'll be like, wow, did you have to say it that loud? You know, bring it down. You know, and because some things can become very offensive to you. You know, and so basically, we've got to learn how to deal with arguments. You know, sometimes you got to realize, and I need for y'all to hear this clearly, it's not about who wins the argument. It's not about who wins the argument. If a husband and wife are arguing, it ain't about who wins. And I think sometimes we act like we're strangers. We're trying to talk the loudest, and we're trying to get our point across. And if we can cause the other person to shut down and be quiet, then we feel like we won. It's not about who wins. It's not about who gets the last word. Have you ever been in, I would ask y'all the question, have you ever been in a conversation or an argument where you're trying to get the last word? Like, you keep on talking, you keep saying something till they get tired. Me and my wife, and I'll mess with her even today. She'll be saying something, and then I'll say something back, and then she'll come back, and I'll say something back, and then she'll come back. And I'm just messing with her, really. I shouldn't be doing, because then I'm provoking her. Wouldn't y'all say that's provoking? But I'd be going back. We'd go back and forth. And I remember when we were early in marriage, we'd just be going back until one day I decided my voice is much more needed. It's needed. I can't get hoarse screaming and shouting with you. So I just decided not to scream and shout back. You know, it don't matter if I get the last word. I wish somebody would hear that tonight. It don't matter if you get the last word. Sometimes you just got to walk away. Take the low road. Take the low road. Because you're trying to save your marriage. And you know, some of you have short fuses, and you can only last in an argument for so long until it starts to go in a different direction. So sometimes you just got to take the low road. It ain't about who wins the argument. To me, it's about who saves the marriage. Woo. It ain't about who wins the argument. It's about who saves the marriage. So at some point, you ought to just simply say, you know what? I'm going to bow out, and I'm going to bow out gracefully. I'm not going to argue anymore. If you feel that way, then okay. If you think that's the best move, and sometimes, you know, if you got some mates that are strong-minded, strong-headed, sometimes you just got to say, okay, if that's the way you think it should work, all right, I'm going to step back. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. Go for it. And then allow them to realize in the end that maybe that wasn't a good idea. Don't knock each other out. So, yeah, Kamisha, I saw how your face was. Oh, what? Yeah, no, don't knock each other out. Don't hurt each other. Because it's not about who wins the argument. It's about who saves the marriage. I think y'all ought to put that in your book right there. It's not about who wins the argument. It's about who saves the marriage. Kind words will turn away wrath. Kind words will turn away wrath. Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Oh, why you keep telling me you love me? You don't love me. Baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. It's not about who wins the argument. It's about who saves the marriage. That's what it's about. So when you communicate, always understand, even when you get to a point where you're about to go into argument, think now before you speak, think before you react. All right, think, because it's not about who wins the argument. It's about who saves the marriage. All right, my time's almost up. I just thought I'd point that out. We're going to talk more about arguments. I guess I'll ask the question, how do you deal with arguments? Who cares to share first? Let me look on YouTube to see if anybody's saying anything. Ain't nobody over here saying nothing on YouTube. Y'all all right over there? Did y'all leave? Okie dokie. Hey, who is that? Kim?
Can
Whose
I
voice?
talk? That's Kim, I think.
Oh, I was trying to make sure that was your voice. What's up, Kim? You got an answer for my question?
Just argue in front of the children. You have to make must first of all.
You got to make what? I'm sorry.
Because you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. It was fading in and out.
I think I had my finger on the speaker. Don't argue in front of the children. I'm not going to say you won't argue because you're going to have differences, but don't argue in front of the children. Because sometimes children can, even if they're both yours, they can use that or will say, try to play you against the other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And argue fairly.
Argue fairly, right? Fairly, yes. Because sometimes we argue dirty. We argue dirty. You know, we throw everything. We throw everything but the socks in. Keep them a sock so I can have some grip. Throw everything but the socks in. You know, y'all thought I was gonna say kitchen sink. No, I'm gonna keep my socks on just in case. I want some grip in this one. You know, so at the end of the day, you are. It's amazing. I was talking about this earlier, that sometimes when we do get into have disagreement about some things, we end up sharing them or spouting them out in front of, especially if we have children. And we got to be mindful that whatever we're saying to each other, we might get over it, but it affects the kids. We might get over it. That we might is a very small we might. Okay, but the kids, it grows up in them, and it's embedded in them. And if you're not careful, it'll start to act out of them in many different ways. You know, and they're being disobedient to you or to the mama or to the daddy. Them talking back, anger issues, stuff that maybe they don't do. They do to people at school. So you have to be mindful of all of that which you say. For all of you who have children, you got to be mindful. One of the wonderful things that I had in my childhood, I saw my parents argue. What's up, Malachi? I saw my parents. I saw my parents. They had their arguments, but one thing about it, they kept a lot of that stuff in the last bedroom in the house, you know, and it's almost like they waited until all of us went to sleep, I'm sure. And I'm sure my mama and daddy probably had a few words, but they never did a lot of fussing and they didn't cuss at all. My mom and dad didn't cuss. I learned to cuss from the streets, I guess. My mom and dad didn't do no cussing. They didn't cuss at all. But they learned how to deal with whatever issues they had behind closed doors, not in front of the children, because it's important that they don't see that. Children need to see nothing but love, because that's what nurtures them. Whatever you allow them to see more of is coming from you is what nurtures them. It's what nurtures them. So you got to be mindful of arguments. Anybody else? Kim, that was powerful. Who else? You know, how do you deal with arguments? Kim made a powerful point that you should never argue in front of your children. And And she also made the point of be fair. Woo, be fair. Because how many of you know that, again, I say this quite often, you can't take back stuff once it goes out. You can apologize for it, but you can't take it back. And some folk ain't easy at letting go what you said. You'll be dealing with that for a long time. So you got to be mindful of what you say. That's why it's be slow to speak, quick to think. All right. Who else has a statement? I got a few of you on. Y'all come on with it. Sarah, you trying to come in? I got y'all. Go.
You got it?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm on old, kind of 20 years in.
Okay.
And when I was in our young part of the marriage, we used to argue all the time.
Uh-huh.
And it do affect children, because all four of my children, neither one of them are Malcolm. So I only have grandkids with Malcolm. I don't have any children.
Gotcha.
So that does affect. So it got to the point where we were arguing so much until I got sick. And I left that alone. So I'd rather just walk away.
Yeah.
But he had a problem with walking away because he felt like I didn't want to talk. But I was just like, I can't talk because I get mad and angry, and it was like you said, it been some blows though. So I had to kind of just like walk away. But now it's not an argument. It's just that I think he just have a problem with a conversation, period. Because I guess his mind be too many places trying to do too much. So I'm trying to work on that. So like I said, he should have been on the line, really, because we'll have to talk about that off the camera.
I got you. So I would say this, that that pretty much what you said is very important. That when you get to a point where the argument becomes heated and you almost go to a blow, then my thing is you do need to walk away. There have been many times that I have gotten just arguing, couldn't get no understanding out of it, no peace about it. So I leave the house. I said, well, I'm leaving the house, and I jump in the car. I remember when we lived in Whitehaven. We lived off of I can't call the name of the street now, but Candace. We lived off of Candace, rather, and off of Auburn. And so we lived in a townhouse. And I remember, one night having a heated discussion. I call them discussions, but we had a heated discussion. And I just simply said, okay, before this thing gets worse, I'm just going to jump in the car. And I got in the car and I drove from Memphis all the way down to Hernando, and then turned around and drove back. And I just took my time. I didn't speed down there. I just drove, slow, all the way from Memphis to Hernando, Mississippi. And I drove back so that I could, get my mind right, because I knew that my wife is not one that's just going to back down. She's just going to keep going, as long as I keep going. And then, and ultimately, it's not going to go anywhere good. So I knew that if I didn't leave, we would end up in a position where I wouldn't be able to bounce back from, And so the best thing to do, it don't mean that you lost because you left. It means that you won. You won. And I need some of us to know that it's okay to just say, look, I bow out. I'm gonna step back, and even if they say, yeah, go on with yourself, you just keep on going. You're right, just going on with yourself. Go on out the door, get in your car or walk down the street or whatever it is you need to do to get your head clear, okay? And then come on back home. But when you come back home or step back into the house or walk back into the room, walk in better than you left. That's the way you do it. Anybody else? Kamisha, were you trying to say something? I'm gonna unmute you. No, I unmuted you, Kamisha. I thought you was saying something. Hey, sweetie, What's going on? So, Kamisha, what were you gonna say?
Sometimes we do really good at disagreeing.
Some days y'all do really good at disagreeing.
I mean, it can like meet a common ground.
What's up, Myra?
There are those days where it's almost like each one of us is fighting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like we're fighting not to hit below the belt, so we just don't say nothing, which gets worse because when we do say, it just all come out real bad.
Right. Well, you gotta allow yourselves an opportunity to release some of it. Don't let it build up. That's the same as us, sweeping stuff up under the rug. And when you sweep everything under the rug, it sooner or later becomes a pile and it's gonna trip somebody up. It's an old cliche, but it's so true. So you gotta, at some point, you've gotta release some of those things. That's why I'm saying what I was saying to you earlier, that love will allow you to communicate how you feel. And the person that loves you, your spouse that loves you, will allow that to come out and y'all deal with it. Not in a harsh way, not in a negative way, not in a dogmatic way, but you deal with it in love. This is how I feel. This is where I'm at. And I know sometimes I want to be the perfect husband, and I hate when it is something that I'm not doing doing right. Oh, it bothers me because I'm always wanting to make my wife know that I really love her through everything that I do. Everything that I do, even when I'm tired. Sometimes I want to say, no, I ain't doing that. It was like the other day, she had me painting a spot in it here at the house. I was doing some work around the house, and I wasn't up to it. I didn't feel like it, but because I loved her, I did it. I became selfless. So we've got to learn to be selfless. We've got to learn that in communicating, that we're going to be selfless in our communication towards each other. It's not about me, it's about you. So what can I do for you that will make you happy, that will make you feel appreciated? What can I do for you? All right. You got that? Yeah. So cool. Who else? Oh, Myra, I just looked up at the screen. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can unmute you. That didn't work, did it? Okay, turn Kim's mute off. Have Kim. Yeah, there you go. Now.
Is it on?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
We good.
So I was asked to come and contribute to the conversation.
There you go. Come on, contribute. You got a wealth of knowledge.
So after being married almost 30 years, learned a lot. One thing we try to do is not argue in front of the kids. We've disagreed in front of them, but we don't argue. We keep that behind closed doors or by ourselves. I mean, they know when we're mad at each other or disagree, but we're not going to let it spill over into the family, right? And I find it, and I'm still, I won't say struggling, but there are some things that Kim don't do, and there's some things I don't do. And I still find myself sometimes frustrated because there's certain things that she don't do. But I got to remember, hey, there's a lot of things that she's done for me, especially when I was gone. And she handled it all by herself. So I just swallow my pride and then and just go ahead and do what I like. Yard work. There's a lot more bushes around this place than it was at the old house.
Right.
So and a lot less yard, but a lot more bushes.
Right.
And then we got this watering hole back here that requires daily maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I've been there. Know that.
She wanted it so bad. I'm sorry, Pastor.
I said I've been there. I know what you mean on that one. As far as a pool.
Yeah. So it's something she wanted it. I wanted. We both like to have a pool. But I'm the one that spends most of the time out there. But it makes her happy. So.
Right.
So I just came from outside skimming the pool. So, but it's a give and take. It's a compromise. I can be honest, say sometimes I'm guilty. I don't listen sometimes. But she don't listen sometimes either. Amen. But we try to stay fair to each other. Right. And because this is a partnership. This is a long-term job. So if we want to keep this job, we gotta compromise. Right. If you're at work and you want to keep your job, some things you don't just swallow down and just keep on going because you want that paycheck at the end. There you go. So on this job, I'm looking for the payout at the end. So right. I keep my mouth shut. Beat me later.
I think that was good. That's good. I really like what you say. It's a compromise, you know. And again, you communicate. What I love that, you know, is like, you know, there's a downside to you. There's a downside to her. It's not just all her downside. It's your downside. There are things that, you know, what I appreciate is there are things about you that you said, well, you know, I'm still working on me. I'm working on me. I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to hear her and not just want her to hear me. I'm trying to hear her. I want her happy. And I think that's what each one of us as a spouse should want for our mate, that I want to make her happy. I want to make her as happy as I possibly can. The pool ain't for me, it's for her. And I might be the one doing the most work on the pool, but she's happy. It makes her happy. That's what marriage is about. It is about making each other happy. It's about building one another up. It's not, again, about just you. It's not just about me. It's not just about I. It's about her. It's about him. I'm married to them. What can I add that will make their life better? Or what can I do less of that will make their life better? You know what I'm saying? If I think totally different from my spouse, then what can I pull back on? What can I pull back on that will be a blessing to her? You know, maybe he is the weaker of the both of us. Maybe he didn't have that much experience. What can I add to him that will build him up? And you said something about pride, and that was so amazing. I think all of us as men, especially men, I think we got a little pride. We have some pride there, and sometimes we got to come down. Huh? Somebody scream out something. Yeah. Okay. But I think we as men, you know, like there are a lot of things, and I had pride, but I had to realize my wife was smart in some areas that I wasn't smart in. So I just, hey, babe, okay. All right, come help me here. Come help me deal with this. Help me do this. Instead of feeling like I had to take it all on by myself. You know, so I think that when we understand that we are better together than apart, we're going to be all right. Woo, that was powerful. Thank you, Myra. Let me see who else is in the house and they might want to share something. You know, Toya, where's Toya at? What Toya? Toya here tonight? I thought I saw Toya. Did Toya come in? Joyce? Joyce probably said, leave me alone, Pastor. Leave me alone. Leave me alone now. Leave me alone. Who else is in here? Let me see. Oh. Mama. Joyce. Mom, it's gonna be delayed. Watch. Who else is in here? Let me see. Oh. Mama.
What? He called mama.
Yeah, I called mama. 54 years of marriage. Why wouldn't I call you? Let you be the last one. We've gone over our time. Give me just a short version of how to make it through our argument. 54 years of marriage.
Huh?
Hold on, right here. Hold on, talk right here. The TV going slow, so talk.
Turn the TV down. Turn the TV down.
Turn the TV down.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Now what you say?
I said, give us the closing, just a short closing word about how to deal with arguments in marriage.
You already told. You already said everything, honey.
Did I say it already, Mama?
You already hit everything on the point. All they gotta do is take that advice.
Take that advice.
That advice.
Well, I learned from the best then.
All these folks young and married, take that advice.
Take that advice. Well, all right, we're gonna do that. I love you, Mama. Thank you so much for sharing that little bit with us.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm gonna put you back on mute now. All right. So again, y'all, thanks for joining us tonight. We're a little bit over, but I just feel like this is going in a positive direction. I think that those of you who've been married, I heard Sarah 20 years, I think Myra said 30 years. My wife and I are at what 33 years of marriage, and you know, we all of us, my mom and dad, 54 years. There's some others, Demetria probably somewhere in the 20s, and Joyce, I ain't for sure about Joyce and Vet, and Toya how long Toya been married now? Toya ain't even on, but they just celebrated an anniversary, I believe, Toya and Dennis. But nevertheless, I'll find that out later. But there are a lot of years of marriage and a lot of experience. And so none of us should fail, because we ought to all be pulling for each other. But I'm gonna say this, in order for you not to fail, you gotta listen. You gotta listen. If you can't listen, you're not gonna be successful. And you might as well just go on and deal with what you're dealing with, because you don't want to listen. So again, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We want to make it tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, but next week we want to do the same thing, same place. We'll have a different subject. We talked about communication over the last couple of weeks. I want y'all to start thinking about some things, present some questions to me, so that we can deal with whatever it is you might be dealing with. Some of you are dealing with blended families. Some of you are dealing with the second marriage. This is your second. Some of y'all might be dealing with the third marriage, and it might not be going well either. So we want to be able to to minister to you and to help you make it. I really do. I don't want to see any marriage, and I don't want you to be ashamed. I appreciate Myra and I appreciate Sarah and for being open about some things that you're dealing with. People need to know that other marriages are experiencing some problems too, that every marriage is not perfect. And then we understand that we're all in this same thing together. We're in a brotherhood, we're in a sisterhood. you know, and to tell the truth, marriage is almost becoming extinct. It's almost becoming extinct. There are millions of people each and every day, thousands each and every day that are going through divorce. Even as we're going through coronavirus, there are those who've already submitted their divorce decrees and they're going through a divorce. And I don't want to see any of you go through a divorce. And I don't want to see those of you like Jariel and Kamisha who are on their way to being married. I don't want to see you all not get married. You know, I want to see you move forward. All right. I love each and every one of you. This is my prayer tonight for you. Father, we, Jariel, what are you doing? Father, we thank you right now for everything. We thank you for being who you are. And God, I know that if you join these men and women together, I believe by your power that nothing shall separate them. I speak blessings of peace over their marriage. I speak blessings of success. I speak blessings of prosperity, Father, over their marriage. I pray that whatever plan the enemy has, Father, strategically set into place to destroy any of these marriages, that it will not prevail. I give you the glory. I give you the praise. Keep us tonight, Father, as we, Father, sleep. And Father, I pray that we in the morning will rise with the ability, Father, to give you all of the glory. It is so in Jesus' name. And everybody said amen. All right. Love y'all. Have a great night. All right.